that's why I always put a tentative schedule on my syllabus. So, you know, this is what I plan to do. But today, when I come in here, I may do something different than I plan to do. And so I try to keep my syllabus flexible so I can do what I think needs to be done with this particular population. For instance, I usually give a week for a chapter, okay? But if I have students who can handle 2 chapters in that week, then I'll move on. So I'm saying if my class is small and the students are getting the information that I want them to have, then I'm not going to stick to that week. You see what I'm saying? Where I've allocated a week for that. So today I may have thought about doing problems. And usually I do mini lectures. I don't do lecture. I do a mini lecture, and then I do a demonstration problem because I teach accounting. So my students need to know what it is that we're talking about, and then I give them an activity where they work in pairs sometimes. Sometimes I'll put them in groups. Sometimes I'll give them an assignment and say, okay, next week, depending on how they're accelerating in the class, I want you to present this information to the class. And so it just really depends. But I don't lock myself into my syllabus and say lecture only, or group work only, or I'm going to do charts. If I decide to go to the board and put a chart on the board, then I will. If I decide to go to the board and put a some other type of presentation demonstration on the board, then I'll do that. I'll put a T account up there quicker than a heartbeat. Just depending on what it is I'm teaching at that particular time. And then, of course, I have to keep in consideration my audience. And if I got good students, if they're doing these, then hey, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, if they're not getting it, then it's incumbent upon me to be flexible enough for me to figure out some other teaching methodology.
There you go.
For me to get this information across.
There you go.
Because I'm the one that's supposed to have.
Exactly. And there again is that decision making. You're constantly thinking and reflecting during the course of teaching and assessing people's reception of what's going on while you're teaching, and not being afraid to change up while you're teaching, and not saying, well, next week I'll do it differently because it's not going so well right now. You change up right then. You change up right then. That comes with experience, of course. That's okay, come on. It's okay. That comes with experience because it's not that easy when you first start teaching. If this is your very first teaching adventure, it's probably not going to be that easy to switch up midstream, and people are understanding of that. So you learn that as you go. But the thing that helps there is to develop this potpourri of this plethora of strategies so that you can call on them. Get comfortable with a lot of different strategies and just have this bag of tricks, and you will eventually learn how to match them to your students.
I think that's a very good comment that you made, because students come with different learning styles and different learning abilities. And one thing that was very helpful for me was through CITL that I was able to take this technology redesign course. And that course helped me tremendously with my class last semester. And you've got a lot of the video, the podcast, you have interactive components, blogs, discussion boards. Thinking about the type of students that we're teaching that are coming in now, they're so tech savvy and they really appreciate this new technology and being able to make it creative and fun. So I agree. I think this is just a great thing. You said the bag of tricks, but it's true.
Yeah,
you'll
learn.
keep that.
And the more you have, just the more adept you'll feel at doing this thing we call teaching. Because we know that we can't teach all students the same way, which is what Vanessa just said. And that's what we really want, is for all of our students to learn, which means we're going to have to find out how they learn best. So you may have a couple of them working in pairs, but you may have another group of 5. That might work for them. They might not do as well with the one-on-one. Sometimes there's that psychological thing of working with one person you've never worked with before. But in a group, you don't feel that kind of dynamic. You feel more relaxed. Okay, so you'll figure these things out as you go along, and you'll use them to the student's advantage, not to your advantage. And that's what we want to get to, is where it becomes, focused on what the students need. Other comments on that? Okay, well, let's take a look at the results of what you put on the board.